All right, speaking of that, our next guest is here now. I'm really excited about this because I know this lady. I know the work she does out in the community, making a real impact and trying to help people. Again, right now, a lot of people are trying to write, okay? As Christian publishing is becoming this big billion-dollar industry, okay? But it also can be quite the stumbling block, and it even can be like a scam or risky business venture for people, okay?
Right.
People getting scammed by this. So you need to know what you're doing before you get into it. If you have a story to tell, if you have something powerful you want to share, great. But first, you should talk to Sharon Tubbs because she's been through it all already. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, a journalist. She worked at the Tampa Bay Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer. She's written 2 books of her own, Milk and Honey, The 10 Principles to Embracing Your Promised Land, and Living in the Pink. She's got an event coming up she wants to tell us about to get, again, aspiring writers can get lost in this new age of publishing. So let's see if we can navigate a little of that with our friend Sharon Tubbs. Sharon, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for talking to us about this because there's a lot of people I know are doing this. They do want to write. People have stories to tell. People want to inspire. But this right now, the industry can be feast or famine for people, and they can be real stumbling blocks, can't they?
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I developed a workshop to combat. I come into contact with so many people here in the Tampa Bay area, and wherever I go, actually, who want to write books. They feel like God has laid this message on their heart, be it about their own lives or something that they've encountered, and they want to tell it to the masses. The thing is, they get into this mindset that they've got to tell it quickly, they've got to tell it now, and many of them don't have any experience whatsoever as writers. And so they jump into this industry, which is a business. It doesn't matter if the publisher that you're talking with is a Christian publisher or a non-Christian publisher. It is a business. And so they jump into this business with no information, and many of them lose a lot of money. We're talking thousands of dollars.
Wow, again, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going into this thing where the people see you coming. There's some of these publishing houses, it's pretty much just a scam. They're trying to tell you, oh, we're going to make you rich. We're going to make you a best-selling author. They're making all sorts of promises, but in the end, you wind up in a self-publishing situation where it costs you a ton of money to get your book on the streets.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I want to share a couple of things with your audience this morning. One of those things is that you've got to know the difference between a traditional publishing company and a self-publishing company and a subsidy publishing company. Traditional publishing is when people pay you. That is the majority right now of the publishing industry. People are paying you. You don't pay a dime out of your pocket. That's how most books get on the shelf. Then you've got self-publishing where you do everything yourself, and the burden for all of the expense is on you. And then we've got subsidy publishing, which is what most people who say they're self-publishing are really doing. They have this middleman, these companies that do the formatting for you, that get your ISBN number, that sell you marketing packages. That's really subsidy publishing because they're actually taking a percentage of the sales for themselves. And a lot of people just don't know that, and they get into this and they say, hey, I want to publish my book, and here's a couple $1,000. And these companies, the subsidy publishing companies, will say, we can do that. And some of them aren't scams. Some of them are legal businesses, but they take advantage of the ignorance and lack of knowledge from their clients. And they say, we're gonna sell this book for you. And they do everything that you tell them to do. The problem is you don't know what to tell them to do. And so they just take your manuscript, print it up, put a very pretty cover on it, and voila, there you go. And what you have is a debt and perhaps a couple thousand books in your garage that no one wants to buy.
Exactly. So the seminar you got coming up is called Writers 1.0, and it's going to be Saturday, May the 17th from 8:30 to noon at the Ashland Park Training Center. Here you'll show them how to set up the vision, how to become the right kind of storyteller based on what, your personal experience, right?
Exactly. Like I said, or like you said, rather, I've written a couple of books. The first book was published by a subsidy publisher, so I know how that works. A few years ago, Milk and Honey. The second book was published through a traditional publishing company that paid me, so I know how that works too. One of the things that I share at the workshop in giving an overview of the entire industry are the pros and cons of both kinds of publishing. And so, like you said, I have written the books myself. I was also a former journalist for 17 years, so I know how to write. And one of the things I also know is that some of these companies, they say, hey, we're going to get your book into some of these newspapers, and you're going to get all this publicity. Well, I was on the other side of that. I was a newspaper editor, and I'd see these press releases coming in, and we didn't pay any attention to those things.
That's right.
A lot of them are stock press releases that they use for everyone. So that's something that a lot of people who just entered this publishing game have no clue, no idea of. It sounds good, but it's not really good.
So you're going to teach them all sorts of really cool stuff, like the elevator pitch, which is basically you have the time it takes to ride up an elevator to get the pitch to somebody, how to copyright, how to look at traditional publishing against the other kind of publishing. Here's a question I always want to know, Sharon. If you're going to write a book, do you need an agent?
You don't need an agent all the time. In fact, sometimes it's harder to get an agent. If you are a first-time author, it's harder to get an agent than it is to get a traditional publisher.
Wow.
I did not have an agent. Now, if you can get an agent, agents are good because they can broker various deals with some of the larger publishing companies. They can help you maneuver that. One of the things, though, that you can do if you don't have an agent is really educate yourself. Find out which publishing houses will accept manuscripts from people who don't have agents and target those publishing houses, and you can get your foot in the door. Exactly.
So then this is what they're going to learn if they come on out. This is a really good thing. So many people I know, just like you said, are interested in writing their story or interested in something that the Lord has put on their heart to say, look, you've got to share this. And so they really need to come on out. It's going to be, again, Writers 1.0, Saturday, May the 17th from 8:30 to noon at 5020 West Loungbow in Tampa at the Ashland Park Training Center. It's only $65. You can go on there. There'll be refreshments and free hookups and Wi-Fi for your laptop. You can go to gomoveforward.com or call 813-728-6097. Sharon, this is really something the public needs. You're reaching out with your company, Move Forward Communications, and saying, okay, I see what's happening in the industry. I see what's happening in our area. I'm going to step in and help out to make this so that more people can get their story out there.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And that $65 fee is good for this week. That's the early bird registration. So if they want that, they need to register by Friday. Get those registrations in. And I just want to encourage people that you can write what God has laid on your heart, but don't walk into it foolishly. Walk into it with knowledge. Spend the time. Take the time. Pray about it, of course, but take the time to educate yourself so that you are being a good steward of the resources that God has entrusted with you.
Amen to that. Again, Sharon Tubbs knows what she's talking about. She's an author, an inspirational speaker, and a former journalist. 17 years a reporter, a columnist, and an editor for newspapers, including the Tampa Bay Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer. And now she's lending her knowledge and experience to help other inspiring authors. Sharon, this is really, really cool. I'm excited for you, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, and I appreciate what you're doing for the kingdom. So thanks so much for joining us this morning on AM Inspiration.
Thanks, Pete. I'm glad that you had me on.
All right, everybody. That was Sharon Tubbs again. We have a great May 17th, the Writers 1.0. Go on out there and be part of that. I know so many people that want to write their story, and there's a lot of stories to tell, but it's a real landmine. You could really find yourself in big trouble if you don't do it right.
Even if God gives you that thing to say, you need to know how to say it.
How to say it, exactly right. All right.